All right, let's talk Darwin Nunez, because if you're going to solve some problems with transfers, then you need to put the context on these kind of players. This video came out the back of a great conversation that I had with Sam Maguire, who is a wonderful analyst around all Liverpool stuff. I have put his link down there in the description below. He did a whole load of the stats and the research for this video, inspired me to do it, and here I am, delivering Darwin Nunez's conclusions on the Liverpool Football Club transfer. Well, doesn't even happen. Maybe you aren't even a Liverpool fan and you're just here to see what Darwin Nunez could possibly do for your team, Manchester United, maybe even Newcastle. But the reason I'm saying he could go to Liverpool is because allegedly he wants Champions League football. And his form at the moment would merit Champions League football, but not with a side like Benfica, who obviously got knocked out fairly early in the competition this season, but a side which competes all the way to the Champions League final, or has consistently done so over the last few years. Manchester United and Newcastle, of course, could tempt him with huge wages and obviously could still pit Liverpool with a massive bid. All these things in the current market seem possible. It seems that there is about a 25 to 30, maybe even 40% increase in prices right now. So roughly we're looking at about 20 million on top of most people's big transfers this summer. And it does seem like Liverpool still aren't willing really to operate in a market where things are going a bit crazy. But they may have to, because if Sadio Mane is to leave, which it does seem, by the way, fairly likely he's going to do so now, then they're going to need to get out there. They're going to need to find someone, not only replace him, but also replace Origi, Taki Minamino. Both of those other guys are also going to leave as well. They still haven't quite approached the idea that if they are going to move forward with Klopp, then this front, whatever it is going to need to cope without the prolific types, such as Mane, Salah. I wouldn't put Firmino within that, but he is prolifically brilliant and has prolifically brilliant teeth. The point is, when Liverpool first signed Mane, Salah, Firmino, Jota, all of these guys had a very similar expected goals to Nunez. They all, I think it was about 0.3, 0.35, something around there, where the idea was not, hey, this guy's the finished product. We will buy the finished product. But look, there is some potential here. And if you work on this and you put this here and this guy goes here, then he will score this many goals. And as it happens with Mane, that has made him incredibly consistent in terms of what he offers for Liverpool. And whilst the eye test might be a little frustrating with Mane sometimes, he's been very prolific and he's always a danger for Liverpool. Liverpool need to replace that danger in some way. And frankly, you know, whilst Minamino did it in the Cups and did it in the league against Southampton, a lot of people still have their doubts. And they still doubt whether he could play in any other position than the one that maybe Mo Salah takes up, or possibly on the inside striker. But the point is that with Divock Origi leaving, club legend, and Mane also on the way out, they need someone who can fill a couple of those spaces, but not only that, be someone who is very dangerous, occupies a lot of those centre-backs, and makes people think, oh, we've got something serious to deal with here. The real issue at Liverpool is, can they still operate with what we're going to call Moneyball in this video, in a market where there is a lot of overspending, and also in a market where they're expected to replace someone who they've made into a superstar, someone who they took to that very level of superstar, someone who they made a high-profile player that a lot of people wanted to get in on in the game. Barcelona were looking at him at one point. Obviously, he'd have moved on from there by now. But Bayern Munich are interested. You could say Juve will probably be interested. Real Madrid should probably be interested as well. It's interesting to see that Liverpool have risen so many of these people to this level of profile. Naby Keita may even be off to PSG this summer for a ridiculous fee, considering what Naby Keita has done at Liverpool. But here they are. And so, in a way, I feel like I have to trust in the transfer process at Liverpool. But the transfer process is also changing. Michael Edwards is on the way out. And with Nunez looking to come in through Julian, the new guy, we are starting to see a slight change in the way that Liverpool normally do things. Although maybe that is also because the market has dictated this. It is no longer easy for Liverpool to find these, oh, a little gem over here, oh, a little gem over here, oh, a little gem over here. Because once you start identifying people, other people start realizing that you're identifying people. And frankly, other people are also getting better at stats. It's a mixture of, hey, Liverpool are chasing this guy, we should chase this guy. And, oh, we've also found good numbers on that guy. Maybe it validates what we were thinking. He is a left winger, come inside forward, come second striker, who plays generally as part of a two, but that's probably just the system he's in. But that kind of works for us. But also, has the potential to be much, much better as a striker. The only problem with him is, whilst he's great at that finishing, because like I say, he's running very hot right now, he's scoring almost double his XG, and the season before that, he scored almost exactly his XG, meaning that, well, he might just be doing really well, and doing well within a system that suits him doesn't necessarily mean there is all of this quality there. I watched his highlights earlier. I didn't necessarily feel like I was being blown away by them. A lot of them were balls which shattered or ricocheted off players. A lot of the time I was looking at being trapped out wide, and I get it, like his pace is fantastic, and his pace, and it definitely his height at being 6'2", is a huge benefit to him. Not only that, but I'd also be fascinated to see what Klopp would do with him. We've seen what Klopp and his team have done with Mane, Firmino, Salah, Diaz, Jota, the list goes on. And this summer, we're going to see what they're going to do with some more people. Carvalho, most likely, coming in. Apparently, he's been made some first-team assurances. But the great thing about Nunez is, he is, or could potentially be, a complete forward come centre forward for Liverpool, meets that left wing sort of Divock Origi meets Sadio Mane type role. And with that, what I mean is, if you're going to take two of those guys out the side, one of which barely ever got in it, you probably want someone who's going to fulfill both those roles and maybe brings a little from column A and a little from column B. You also probably want someone that you know you can train up and move sort of forward in their career, and that can't be someone who signs who's currently at their peak, because generally when people are at their peak, then you're finding people who are very difficult to adapt and find it quite difficult to adapt. But historically, Jurgen Klopp has also had a very decent centre forward in his previous life, Robert Lewandowski. Someone who was also tall, had a decent stature, a little bit of pace about him. Although Lewandowski was never really that quick, was he? I don't remember him being known for Michael Owen level pace, and yet Nunez was one of the fastest players in the Champions League this season. Apparently he covered up to 36.2, I want to say, kilometres per hour, which makes him one of the fastest players in the Champions League. That's faster than a lot of other people. However, I'm also skeptical of those kind of metrics. Just do the eye test. You can see the kid's quick, right? Anyway, outside of that, yes, there are a lot of questions about whether he can actually do something at Liverpool or Manchester United, whatever, but especially at Liverpool. And as Liverpool are moving forward and need evolution with Darwin, there is also a revolution going on, and they need to look at what's going to happen in the future. Mo Salah will most likely leave. If Bobby Firmino also doesn't sign a new contract, what then? And they will have to find a new structure for this front, whatever it's going to be, 2, maybe 3. Nunez always enjoyed playing part of that too. But if he's the second striker, or he's got a partner, and we make that into Mo Salah, who also did that at Roma, thanks again, Sam, then what do you do with that? Do you just supply those guys? And then when Salah leaves, do you change the system again? Or do you get someone else who then complements Nunez? Because essentially this guy, sure, you can assume that because he's 6'2", he's going to do a lot of good heading, but he only wins 40% of his aerial duels. And frankly, I think he can probably improve his heading at Liverpool. Liverpool also, by the way, enjoy improving players in terms of all of their different kinds of output. They take them up another level most of the time when coaching them. That's A, down to the observations, but B, also just down to the fact that those players have potential, and it's very likely they will grow into that potential as time goes on. I'll read you out some of these stats just because I don't want to lose my way here. 23 goals, 11.37 XG, 19 non-pen goals, and 8.12 non-pen XG. The point is, he's outscoring by double his XG, meaning he's running very hot right now. He had 4 assists, 4 expected assists, so he's pretty good on his assists, and he's first in Portugal for touches in the box in total, averaging 7 per 90. See, I have no context whether that's actually a good stat or not, but the point would be, Liverpool also like someone that can drop in to build the play up a little bit. And frankly, he looks a little bit like an unpolished diamond right now. But then how many other unpolished diamonds, or how many doubts, or how many other things and items and issues can we pick up with his game? We weren't particularly confident about Mo Salah when he signed for Liverpool. A lot of people questioned him. Sadio Mane came in with great profile, but a lot of people were mocking of that transfer. Bobby Firmino had virtually no profile in the mainstream. And Jota, well, he was 4th choice at Wolves. Diaz, by the way, who has changed his game since coming to Liverpool a little bit and has definitely dropped off in terms of the goals return. in a similar way to the way that Jota has, well, things change. You ask people to play different roles. Are Liverpool going to ask Nunez to do that? Is the idea that you can play in the Champions League under one of the great coaches, be part of a transitional club, and possibly even have had promises made to you that in a couple of years' time, this, and this will happen alongside other signings who are also high profile? Well, that would be great. Of course, a really great question to ask is whether it actually translates to the Premier League. And, well, we're still yet to find out. Of course, Liverpool have signed a couple of Premier League players. Sadio Mane was one of them, Virgil van Dijk was one of them, Jota was also one of them. There are plenty of other players in there. And very often we've also found that the Championship converts to the Premier League just as well as the Bundesliga does. And yet here we are with Luis Diaz, who seems to have had quite an interesting start at Liverpool. He hasn't had the goal volume that maybe a lot of people would have thought they would have wanted him to return. And frankly, in the Champions League final, it wasn't always great considering the take-ons and all those kind of things. But he's translated pretty well so far in terms of contributions eye test wise. It's just interesting to look at whether he actually has any end product there. And it's about getting this end product out of these guys. A really interesting aspect is, if Liverpool do sign him, he's going to have to change his game up, and there is going to be a big shift for him. A lot of people are calling him a Klopp player. By the way, Liverpool don't tend to bid for people, I'm told, unless they actually have a personal agreement with the player. And I'm told there's a bid that's gone in here. Just saying, it's worth a look. Overall, sure, it's strange right now. Liverpool, of course, would love to have signed a high-profile striker, and it would be great when Sadio Mane leaves to be able to unveil a high-profile name. But the fact is, we may have forgotten what it is like at Liverpool to play this Moneyball game. And it might take a little while of giving Liverpool that bit of space and quietly doing their thing to be able to remind us of what's actually happening. Or am I just being naive? And is Rory right? Liverpool can no longer compete with those states that are now in football. And if Liverpool want to be able to compete, they have to pay big money, but that's not been the system. Do they have to go, not scrounging around, but do they have to go fertling around somewhere else for some more uncut gems? Because we won't be able to compete with Man City, Manchester United, Newcastle United, Real Madrid in terms of these massive biddings. Tuchemani, of course, that would have been great to have him. Tuchemani, character in Harry Potter. Monaco sparked a bidding war for him, and suddenly we're out the bidding. But hey, PSG and Real Madrid both want him. So we identified someone good for them. The point is, if Liverpool get rid of some players this summer, they need to bring some people in. And they need to act fairly quickly. They do have quite a long summer though. They've still got a month and a bit until they come back. But frankly, when there is panic, and there is panic at the moment amongst Liverpool fans around losing someone like Sadio Mane because of his output, because of the way they love him, because of the way he's evolved, because of the fact that that is the known, the unknown can seem a little bit scary. So I'll be interested to see what happens. The unknown at the moment is a very good unknown. But the scary side of that unknown is outperforming a lot of the metrics that we have laid down for that unknown. The interesting aspect, though, is those metrics line up quite favourably with other players that we've signed. I'm looking forward to seeing someone spinning in off the back line next season. Will it be Darwin? Will Liverpool pair him with Carvalho? That could be a nice little combo. Or is he the second striker in the way that Carvalho is also? The fact is, you don't sign players and you don't always put them in the same positions. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think Liverpool are going to do. I'll be interested to see who you think they're going to get. There have been some Uruguayans at the club before. Well, there's been a Uruguayan at the club before, and he's been pretty good. So, there was another Uruguayan, but we won't talk about him. See you guys later. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will be replying to a lot of those comments, and I will be doing a video on your comments very, very soon, summing up a lot of the season and what is to come in the off season. Thank you very much, Sam, for all the stats on all this. I appreciate it a lot. The culture at Liverpool may well be changing, not just in terms of transfers, but also in terms of players. They will probably want to try to preserve a lot of what is good about this side. Let's see what happens this summer. See you guys in a little while. Bye.